Hi. It's me, Bianca. Sorry, my voice just cracked there like a teenager. So today I want to talk about how to follow your heart and your intuition and listen to your intuition, because we hear a lot, listen to your gut, follow the signs, listen to the cues, and absolutely that is so important. And all of us have the ability to be super intuitive, to really follow the spirit guides that we're getting in whichever way we're getting them. And so here's the thing about tapping into your intuition and being able to follow your heart as a result of it, is first you have to understand how your intuitive hits come in. For some people, they get a headache. For some people, they'll feel paralyzed, they'll feel slow. For some people, they'll start jumbling their words when they're talking about something. For some people, it's a stomach ache. Some people, it's a backache. For other people, it's fatigue. There are so many different ways that our spirit guides try to speak with us. And we have to figure out what that is, because if you aren't able to even understand the cues, you're not going to be able to be nudged in the right direction. So I'll give you an example. When I started my business, the Vitality Kitchen in Edmonton, it was a catering company. We did healthy prepared meals, cooking classes, the gamut. And when I started, I was excited. I had that new entrepreneur excitedness where it's everything's a whirlwind. So you don't really have time to sit in your feelings and think, do I want to do this? And so maybe about 8 months in, we're starting to get press and people were starting to be really impressed with me. And as someone who had no self-confidence, that really gassed me up. And I'm like, okay, I like how I feel with this. But there was one moment where I was preparing for a catering event, and I just got a hit in my stomach where I was like, is this what I want to do? But because the wheels were already turning, I already had employees. My pregnant cousin was just about to start working for me. There was just so many pressures that I was like, you know what? Shut up, stomach feeling. We got other things on the go. So eventually, the stomach pain turned into full body pain whenever I would get up to go to work. It turned into headaches, irritability, until the point that I cut the tip of my thumb off, thinking about being anywhere but where I was at that time. And that was when, sitting in the hospital, waiting to get my thumb sewn back together, that was when I was like, I don't want to do this. But that's the thing about intuition. It'll tap you on the shoulder, it'll give you a nudge, and then it'll kick you in the ass. And so you want to listen before it even gets to that point. And another situation in my life, so this was recently. So I was partnered with someone on a podcast. It ended badly because of some shady things, if I'm being completely honest. And there was a point in the summer where this person had said something to me about money I was supposed to be getting for our season 1 sponsorships. And there was just a feeling where I'm like, will I get this money? And I didn't. 3 months later, as things were unfolding, I was like, I knew it. My intuition told me that this was going to happen. And so that is one of the first things about intuition, is understanding what the feelings are. Because then you can, choose to ignore it. In both of the situations I just described to you, I chose to ignore it. In the first situation, I chose to ignore it because I really at the time didn't think I could pay attention to it. I just had too much money invested, too much time invested, too much of my own personal worth and value and identity invested. It took a long time to unravel that. In the second situation, I really just wanted that money and I chose to trust this person. And, I truly, in that moment, negated my intuitive hit. I was like, no, you're wrong. It's not going to happen. And so that's one of the biggest lessons that I have learned about intuition throughout my life, is that the more you can choose to ignore it if you want to, but it's still going to manifest into your life in some way. So listening to that nudge right out of the gates can spare you turmoil, headaches, broken partnerships, all of these different things. And then the second thing, so the first thing is understanding what the intuitive hits read like in your body and in your life. The second one is having the courage and the confidence and the bravery to do something about it. Like I said, in the first iteration of me really not listening to my intuition, which resulted in me cutting the tip of my thumb off, I knew what I needed to do. It was overwhelmingly clear that that was not what I wanted to be doing or where I should be, but I didn't have the confidence to make that move, to make that declaration. I didn't want to be seen as a failure. I didn't want to be seen as a quitter. It was, my whole identity was wrapped up into that. So there's just so much. And in the second situation, I chose to ignore it just because I was like, wanting so much to believe that it would be true. And those are two, I think, of the biggest hangups, because sometimes your intuition comes in at the most inconvenient time and it tells you, no, it's not that, when you want so badly for it to be that, or you want so badly for something to work out, but your intuition is like, baby, no, it's not that. It can be really inconvenient. I had to unravel my whole life to follow my intuitive hit to move to Toronto. I lost my business, I lost lots of friendships, I lost my complete identity, but I was rebuilt anew by having the courage and the confidence to eventually follow what I was supposed to be doing. I should have done it years prior, but again, sometimes you come to it differently. But having the courage and the bravery and the honesty with self to admit some of these things is very, very important. And so following your heart, listening to your intuition is first understanding how your intuition, how your spirit guides are trying to talk to you. Being able to figure out if it's a stomach ache, if it's a shoulder ache, if it's a headache, if it's just like all of a sudden like tightening in your body, that is probably a sign of something. If it happens when you're thinking about a certain situation or a certain person, that is probably a sign that your intuition is like, yo, we have a message for you. And the second is having the confidence and the courage and the bravery to do something about it. That's, I think, the toughest part. Figuring out what your intuition is, how your intuition is talking to you is the easy part. The tough part is the realization that there has to be something that you do about it. But that being said, everyone has the ability to tap into their intuitivity, into what their spirit guides are trying to tell them. But you do have to disconnect from the influences of other people and start to trust yourself. Trust is the most important part of this process, because your intuition is you. And if you have problems with self-awareness, with self-confidence, with self-trust, you're always going to come up against some resistance, because it's like, yo, if you don't trust yourself, how are you going to trust your intuition? So that's what you need to work on. Trust, confidence, but also being able to identify how your intuition speaks to you, because everyone has it. Everyone has the ability to harness its power to guide and direct their life, but you got to be listening. So that's it for today. I hope that you go out into the world today and just try and be mindful of if you're getting any intuitive hits, intuitive downloads, intuitive nudges, and then just start trying to be more mindful as you go through your life. That's really how it starts. And until tomorrow,